Hey YouTube, Repo Man 64 putting out a quick video. I'm not going to make it very long. There are a lot of dates coming up here, high watch dates to look at, probably or possibly more stones to cross before we get to the other side, or another box we open to get to the next box, to finally get to where it is we're going. Watching is very important. It says it in the Bible that we are to watch, and that's what we're doing. I don't think watching means walk outside and look up at the sky every 5 minutes. I don't think that's what it means. And even when the apostles were doing it, the two clothed in white stood behind them, telling them, "What are you looking at? You got work to do." And that's what we're doing. We're going to continue studying the Bible. We're going to continue to go through passages and seeing how they relate to our very soon rapture. Tomorrow is a very high watch date for a lot of people. It does not appear on my timeline, but that doesn't mean that my timeline's the one that we're supposed to look at. So this event is going to here's what's going to happen. This event is going to happen, and it is going to catch so many people off guard, and that's why I make these videos. I've said it before, say it again. I don't earn a dime. I don't have a PayPal, anything like that. I don't have anything against anybody that does, by the way, because some people actually have their YouTube set up in that fashion so they can spend more time research and study. I just sit there every day and study myself and see if anything relates. I had this timeline put on my heart a couple of years ago. I built it, and I like it, but it doesn't mean this is the one God's using. But there is an event that's going to take place, and it will catch so many people off guard, and that's why I make these videos. I don't make these videos for the bride. The bride now is watching. Can't stop the bride from watching. 99.9% of the people that watch my video agree that we're watching and trying to figure it out. There's a very absolute small percentage that don't like the watching, and their favorite verse is Matthew 24:36, and it's literally, I mean, we've shown it over and over again. It is not talking about when the rapture is going to occur. It's talking about the end of the millennium and when the earth and the heavens will be destroyed. It says at the end of the 1,000 years, Matthew 24:35. So that's not a good argument. And then I've shown you in Luke where it does say that, but when it says it, the bride is already in heaven at a banquet. I've shown you that in Luke as well. Of course, you're going to read it in Mark and Matthew because they're the ones that missed. Mark is to the saints of the tribulation, and Matthew is to the Jew predominantly. There is information, and of course, in there for all of us. Now, when we get to heaven, when we get there, when we finally get there, remember when Jesus was here? It says we are going to be like Christ. And when he was here, he had command over the elements. He was able to walk on water. We'll be like Christ. So while this wall is solid, and it will always be solid, it will be a wall in heaven that is solid. If you think we're going to walk around on clouds all day long, that's not true. It's life and more abundantly. We won't be bored there. Everything that you love about life will be there and more abundantly. It is so hard to explain and imagine what heaven will be like, but it will be a solid structure. But you will have command over the elements. I would say that if, and of course we won't, why would we? But if you were to punch this wall, your hand would not hurt. You would break the wall. I don't see any reason why any of us, I don't punch walls now. I'm not the type of person that would break something like that. Go after an inanimate object when I'm upset. I'm not like that. So In heaven, I won't be punching the wall, but if I did, I would say, would not hurt myself in any kind of way. There is no pain in heaven. I would imagine that we'll be able to walk on water, but because we'll have command over the elements, just like Jesus did when he was here. So when we get to heaven, and people have, excuse me, people have made comments to say, well, you're trying to bring your earthly life in heaven. And I say, what you see here in your earthly life, aside from things corrupting and getting old and falling apart and not functioning properly, thistles growing up and everything, I believe in heaven you'll be planting a garden. There won't be any thistles growing up in your stuff. Whatever it produces will be amazing and beautiful and perfect in every way. If you forget to water something, like you have to go do a mission or something that God's asked you to go do, your plants will be fine. But I do believe that everything that you see here, aside from evil, of course, you will see there. It will be a complete fulfillment. So when Dr. Barry, and I made a video of this, it was a fun video. I think you can go back and look at it. Dr. Barry says that he'll have a pool party. I believe wholeheartedly that Dr. Barry will have a pool in his mansion, and it'll be so big we can all go there and have a party. Brother Chooch from TOL, is it TOL End Times? TOL? He's going to get mad at me. TOL, he's going to have a, what is it? What is that crustacean? Lobster. He is going to have a lobster party, and there'll be every kind of lobster you could imagine there. And I know this is true. I know this is true because the Bible says in Luke that at that moment where he says nobody will know when it's going to happen, and he says, I will put on a waiter's outfit. You will be reclined, not just sitting at a table. You'll be reclined. You'll be totally relaxed, sitting at a table. And I will come to you in this waiter's outfit, and I'll ask you what you want to eat. So it is life, and it is more abundantly. It is not some obscure concept of what we think heaven should be like. It is going to be as real, I say as real, as we could possibly understand, and a million times more real than what we see here on this earth. It is going to be so spectacular. After we go to eat lobster at Brother Chooch's, we're going to, you remember Wackadoodle Samoan, he took his channel down, but he has a place called the Wax Shack, and there you can get every type of candy, chocolate, and everything you can possibly think of that's sweets at that Wax Shack, and we're going over there. And then in my house, it's extremely high tech. You don't sit down and watch television. You stand in the television, and all of the events of whatever's going on, you're there with it. Of course, it's TV, so the characters don't recognize you as being there, but you're there watching. I would say that most of us want to go back in time to see the events of the Bible and watch them play out in real time. You'll be standing in Israel. You'll be watching in the Garden of Gethsemane when they took Jesus. You'll be standing there. They won't perceive, of course, Jesus would, he's God, but they will not perceive us. And we'll see all these events in real time, as it were, but it'll be high tech and you'll be in it. So that's what I envision will be there. So don't be afraid to dream, because whatever you dream of heaven to be like, it is going to be a million times greater than whatever you can come up with. And don't be afraid to do that, because that is what's waiting for us on the other side. That is also what is waiting on the saints of the tribulation, the sleepy church, the ones who would not ultimately surrender. I don't want to make the statement because I get comments about this. I don't want to say those who are not watching. I'm not saying that. The bride is all going, everybody. And again, I've studied and studied and studied, and I cannot find a single passage anywhere that makes the claim that the sixth seal will take 3.5 years to open and that the church leaves after 3.5 years. I can't find that anywhere. I find that in 3.5 years, Satan is going to go into the temple and proclaim himself to be God. I see that. And then I see the great tribulation beginning for the final 3.5 years. I see that. And I see the Jews at the very end, finally, after all this, what's the point of tribulation? It is not a punishment before God throws you into hell. It is a moment where you recognize how you messed up and you come to Jesus on your knees. They will cry. The Jew will finally kneel down and cry to the one that they pierced. And that is what tribulation is for, and that's what it is about. It is not to beat you up and then throw you into hell for all eternity. I would say almost during the entire church age, most people thought that that's exactly what would happen. You would get beat up for 7 years and then cast into hell for all eternity. And just that never sat right with me growing up or my whole adult life. Just none of that ever sat well with me. Why would God, and I asked that as a child, why would God beat people up for 7 years only to throw them in hell? No, that moment, that tribulation is to get people to open their hearts and to concede who Jesus is. I'm ready to do it now, and so are you. Most of the people watching this are ready to do it now. If you're watching this after the rapture's occurred, do it now. There is nothing that you bring to the table. Nothing. Salvation is of the Lord, lest any man shall boast. So let's go into the pictures. I didn't want to make it too long of a video, but I'm afraid that I talk too much, so we'll see. All right. Now, this was made, I did this last year where I put all 5 dates on here. This was made by Sister Sandy at End Time Dreams and Visions. I'm sorry, endtimestudies.com, endtimestudies.com. What she's done here is over here on the left, right down here, where it says New Year's Day, what she has done is taken the head of the year for each calendar. The head of the year, of course, for the Gregorian calendar is January 1st, which makes 0 sense until you use the Enoch timeline and you find that most of the dates that we use, like Christmas is the day Jesus conceived, and the first day of the year is St. Patrick's Day, and many other dates. New Year's Day is the day that Mary went to see her cousin Elizabeth, and John leapt in the womb. He would have been 6 months and 1 week pregnant. There are so many dates that line up too perfectly on the Gregorian calendar for it to be a mistake. You ever wonder why the Gregorian calendar starts on January 1st? That's why. It matches. And God moves people in the direction that he needs them to move for it to make sense. So that's why I still believe, and I'm not saying that this is the calendar God is going to use, but I believe this is the calendar that was used pre-flood. I believe the head of the year, the head of the year was September 15th, but because of Exodus 12, God moved it back 182 days exactly to March the 17th. So we continue on down. My favorite calendar is calendar number 1. That's the equinox. That's the Enoch calendar that was used pre-flood. My second favorite calendar is the bottom one. There are many, and I think I believe that what's his name? Ricardo Garcia is using this calendar. This is my second favorite calendar. The 5th calendar. The first sliver of the moon after the sun is in Aries. So many things line up on that calendar. And then my third favorite calendar is the first sliver of the moon after the sun, after the equinox. The first sliver of the moon after the equinox. March 23rd being the head of the year. Now it's simple after that. After you determine what head of the year you want to use. You want to use 1? Do you want to use 5? Or do you want to use 3? Whichever calendar you want to use, you have to stick to the formula. If you want to start your year there, let me see here. Well, anyway, I'll show you the formula. She's put it on here. A bit confusing. It just shows Noah's head of the year and it shows Moses' head of the year. Unfortunately, the only thing I see wrong is that it was still Nissan. Um, it just became the head of the year in those, like it's still Nissan. Tishri, Nissan is always Nissan, but the head of the year in Noah's time was Tishri. 6 months later, Tishri. So at any rate, I want to show you what's happening. Calendar number 5 is showing up yesterday, or what is it, today? That's today. Calendar number 5, the first sliver of the moon after the sun reaches Aries today, May 4th, is 14 days later. May the 4th be with you, as they're saying all over Facebook. All right, so that's calendar number 5. Calendar number 1, go down here to second Passover, has just passed on second Passover, April 29th. There's something else I want to show you that also comes up. But you'll also see here, second Passover, for the first sliver of the moon after the sun, after the equinox, is May 5th. That is tomorrow. There are a lot of people looking at tomorrow. So as you can see, 1, 5, and 3 are the 3 calendars that always seem to show up with something. So let me go on to what I wanted to show you here. Oh, this is what I was talking about a minute ago. There is a point in time. Blessed are those servants whom the master finds on watch when he returns. Truly I tell you, he will dress himself to serve. Jesus will put on a waiter's outfit. He will dress himself to serve. If you can believe Almighty God that created you, pardon me, came here, gave up his heavenly dominion, his rightful place in heaven, and put on our skin, a human body, 23 chromosomes from his mother, 1 chromosome from the father. And he allowed us to destroy him on a cross for the sole purpose of saving us from ourselves. That's love like nobody on this planet has ever shown. That is love right there. He will dress himself, and it's not over with yet. It's not over with by a long shot. Here, he will remember how he washed the feet of the disciple, and the disciple said, "No, you can't do that." He says, "If I don't, then you won't be saved." I'm paraphrasing, but if you don't, you won't be saved. So he says, "Well, then wash my whole body." The same thing here. I've told this passage to a works-based Christian. This Christian is an awesome person. Love them very much, but they will not walk away from their works. They feel they must continue to do something to stay in the good graces of God, not fully giving up on his works. He cannot do that. He will not do that, but love him very much, and I talked to him about this stuff, and I was talking to him about this passage. He says, "What are you going to do eat for dinner when Jesus serves you?" And he says, "Jesus is not going to serve me." I'm like, "Yeah, but he is. He is going to serve you. You're going to sit down and recline at a table." He's like, "I'm going to have to see that. That's not written anywhere in the Bible." I'm like, "Well, here, let me show you. Blessed are those servants whom the master finds on watch." He is not on watch. He doesn't believe. He believes in Matthew 24:36. He is not watching. He has bought into that passage wholeheartedly without reading the whole thing, and no matter how many times I tell him that that's not what it's talking about, he will not hear me. He cannot hear me. Again, I look forward to seeing him in heaven, and when he is finally raptured. I'm not making a judgment call because it's not my place, and I don't know for certain. Maybe this is sitting with him. I don't know, but if it is not, and he does not go, he's still going to go. He loves Jesus. He loves Jesus very much. He is still going to go. We cannot judge him. I do not get angry with him. I do not dislike him, but he will walk around, and we'll both talk to a group of people there. We're the two Christians that are there. Both of us are Christians, and we'll both talk to them, and they will tell me, why is it when you tell us about Jesus, we love hearing the stories, but when he does, he scares us with them? And the answer is because he is a works-based Christian. Again, I'm not judging him. He is going to go to heaven. He is just going to go at a different time. Tribulation was not designed to punish him. It was designed to make him turn and recognize the only thing, his own works, all of his good deeds, his minding his mouth and not cursing and doing everything exactly. He's a great guy to work with because he works for God. I work for God. We work very hard at this company. They actually like us. We both were promoted very quickly in the company because of our ethic. I don't work for this company. I work for God. So they are reaping the benefits of my work. While I am there, I give 110%. And so does he. What sets us apart? This right here. He will not see this. He cannot imagine. He says, I'm just going to be following Jesus around. Really? I mean, we're all going to be up there with Jesus. He's going to be like our best friend, but are you going to walk on a cloud and follow him around all day? He's like, no, we're not going to have any fun up there. There's nothing up there. We're just up there. I'm like, no. No. I said, whatever life you have, he gives it more abundantly. It is a million times better than what you're living right now. You know? Hard to explain. Anyway, truly I tell you, he will dress himself to serve. He'll wear a waiter's outfit. He will have them recline at the table. You're going to be all relaxed. And he himself will come and wait on them. He'll come to you. He'll be wearing a waiter's outfit. He'll have that napkin draped over his left arm and a pad in his left hand and a pen in his right hand. Of course, he's God. He doesn't need that, but just to show you what it's going to be like, he's going to walk up to you. Hi, John, Kate, whomever whatever name, whatever your name is, he's going to walk up to you and say your name. And he's going to ask you, what would you like? What kind of wine would you like? What kind of meal would you like? I'm going to get, and of course, it's going to be regional, wherever you're from, or whatever you like the most, that's what you will order. Me, it's going to be steak and potatoes and asparagus and, broccoli and stuff like that, but somebody else would be like, ew, I wouldn't want that. I would want this. And that's what you will order and that's what you will get. So and then and wait on them. He will wait on us. He will bring that meal to you. He will pour that drink for you. And you're going to be sitting there relaxed. It's not going to be oh, I can't believe, what do I do? It's not going to be a stressful thing. It's going to be a very relaxing thing. He's going to walk up and call your name and say, hey, what do you want to drink? What do you want? I'd probably drink a Coke, somebody else would drink wine. I don't drink, so, it says in heaven, he'll drink of the fruit of the vine with us when we get there. So maybe we will drink wine, whatever he says, right? So the servant is the master. It always has been. And that's what we are. We are servants of the master. And I am a servant to the guy that I work with who is still works-based. I serve him and bring him as much information as I can. And the reason I spend so much time on him, and I do, we work together every day, and I spend a lot of time talking to him about this, and the reason I do is that when the rapture does occur, and if he doesn't go, maybe he heard me, maybe it worked, maybe he became a bride, maybe he's secretly watching. I did my job. My job is not to make him kneel down in front of me and accept the Lord. That's just silly. That's not my job. My job is to warn for an impending event, and then when that event occurs and they see it happen, when they see me go, I told him that. I tell him all the time, when you see me go, that's when you will believe what I'm saying. But then again, maybe he's already heard it and he's he's investigating the things. He says, I was investigating. I talked to my preacher, and he said that no. And I'm like, but that's what the Bible says. It's very clear. So, let me get back to the pictures. When you see me go, again, with every date that we come up with, and I am so thankful and so grateful for every amazing watcher that has diligently researched and tried to figure this out. I am not right. They are not right. I am not wrong. They are not wrong. I bet you all of us have a piece of this puzzle, and it'll fall together at the last minute. At the last minute, we'll be on that raging river. We can barely hear it's raging so loudly, jumping from stone to stone. It's so foggy you can't see barely the next stone, let alone the other side. And you don't know if your next step is going to be on the other side. But we're going to keep trying to figure this out. Here's my timeline without the other dates on it. Where are we at right now? May 2nd. You can see it here. Let's see if I can get it bigger. This is the mirror to Noah's Ark. This is exactly, and I saw this before and I didn't realize it, but every single date has a mirror. Every single one. I knew it, but I never really actually attempted to mirror every single date. So Noah's Ark, the flood began on May the 2nd. How many days do you think it might have taken when it starts to rain, even if the hardest rain, how long do you think it would take for an ark that's up in a mountain that was built somewhere at some altitude, let's say? How many days do you think it would take for that ark to begin to rise? And so the mirror to October the 31st, that's IR 17. I forget what, let's see. Here's my calculator down here. Nissan 1 is the first day of the year. And I believe it falls on March the 17th. So I would count from March the 17th. If I find a date, for example, IR 17, I would say Nissan has 30 days, and then I would add 17 days for IR, and I would come up with the 47th day. What day is that? Right here, 47th day, IR 17th. If you mirror back from October the 31st, 182 days, you will land on May 2nd. That was 2 days ago. But my mind says, I wonder how long it would take that ark to float. A lot of people are looking at May 5th, tomorrow. What is next? Remember, Abraham was born in 2023 BC. He was 75 years old when he walked into Canaan. Is that the promised land for him, right? Walked in there in 1948 BC. Does that ring any bells for anybody? 2023, 1948. This is BC. There is a mirror to that. Back in time to now. God uses this mirror effect. This will happen on May the 14th. May the 14th, 1948, was, is, and always has been IR 29. And I'm going to show you that it was not IR 5. If you go Google it, it'll tell you it was IR 5. They're off by, does it look, 24 days. That was, it was IR 29, and May 14th, 1948, and I'll show you that. So that's the next date that I'll be looking at is May 14th. Okay, if these other dates pass, and there's a lot of wonderful dates that are coming up. May 5th is one, May 11th is one, May 14th. I think that that was one of the biggest markers that we've ever gotten was May 14th, 1948, Israel became a nation. But if you listen to Isaiah 53, you'll hear him. He had an incredible video out, incredible, where he showed a passage in Luke that said, when all of the trees gathered. And that happened exactly 362 days later on May 11th. 3 days. 3 days before, 362 days after May 14th, 1948. 3 days before May 14th, 1949. 3 days before May 14th will be May 11th. Again, how long did that ark take to rise? May 11th is a huge watch day. May 14th is a huge watch day. Jesus ascends. He does this on the 63rd day, Sivan 3. How do we calculate that? We go over here. Nisan has 30 days. Iyar has 30 days. That's 60. Sivan 3. That would make it the 63rd day. You count 63 days from the head of the year of March 17th. And where do you land? You land on May 18th. Sivan 3. 363. 3 days later is Shavuot. They're calling it Pentecost, but it technically is not a Pentecost yet. It is a Pentecost in that it was 50 days after Jesus defeats death. He rises. He goes to heaven for 7 days. On the 8th day, he meets Thomas in the upper room. Remember, they were locked behind a closed door. Why were they locked behind a closed door? Because they were fearful of the Pharisees, so they hid in there. From the moment Jesus returns to Thomas in the upper room from heaven, he walks through a locked door, and they are no longer in that room. They're out of that room. Then he walks with them for 40 days. Jesus ascends after 40 days. He does this on Sivan 3. Sivan 6, the 66th day of the year. 666. Now, most people will attribute this to Satan. Remember what the Bible says. 666, for it is the number of a man. The Antichrist will be a man. He will come. He will be the Antichrist, and he will be a man. 666. God is telling us he will be a man with that passage. That happens on May 21st. So we have so many high watch days to be looking for right now. We have May 5th. Not only is that perfect for the first sliver of the moon after the equinox that lands on May 5th, it is a full flower moon. That is pretty awesome. That lines up. Actually, that lines up perfectly with that timeline. So May 11, 1949, like I said, is when all the trees gather, 362 days later. And then 3 days after that, May 14, 1949, Israel will be exactly 1 year old. Told you about Abraham. May 14th. Mercury went into retrograde on April the 21st, and it is finished with that retrograde on May 14th. What happens on May 14th? Israel becomes a nation. So that is a huge sign that we have in heaven. That is could that be the 21 days from April 21st to May 14th? It is 21 days. Could that be the 21 days that I forget which angel it was. Was it Michael? Or I don't recall the name. I have to paraphrase here, but he resisted somebody somewhere and then finally showed up. I should have prepared for that one a little bit better. Shavuot, Feast of Weeks, 3 days after Jesus ascends. 666. Sivan 6, the 66th day, May 21st. May 21st is also a high watch day for me. All right, let me continue on. Now, I want to show you something which I knew, but I didn't really look at it too closely for some reason. Every single day has a timestamp. That never changes. So if Israel became a nation on May 14th, 1948, you would find this timestamp of 1344, 1345. It would be within seconds. 1344, 1345. Dogs are going crazy out there. In 2023, 1344, 44. This is the timestamp for that date. You could say that Israel became a nation on 1344, 1948. On May 11th, you'll see just above, I can't highlight more than one, 1340. You could say that all the trees gathered 362 days later on May 11th on this timestamp of 1340, 1949. That 1340 will always be 1340. It has been 1340 since creation, and it will be 1340 at Matthew 24:36, where God will destroy the heavens and the earth. Matthew 24:35. Let's go on up here. May the 5th, 1331. It will always be 1331. Always. May the 5th will always be 1331. May the 7th, that's another high watch day. That is 1334. See what I'm saying? So every date has a timestamp, an exact timestamp. Let's go to 1948. May the 5th is 1331. May the 7th is 1334 again. May the 11th is 1340 again. May the 14th is 1344. Again, you see the timestamp never changes. This goes back 75 years, and the timestamp hasn't changed. That day could be called 1344, 1948, and we would know by that timestamp what day it is. Here we are in 2600. We only can go to 2600 because this is as far as time and date can go, but I want you to know it's just 2 seconds over. Just 2 seconds over. Still 1340. It's 1345, but 1344. Just 2 seconds over. May the 14th in the year 2600, 600 years from now, that timestamp is still there. That timestamp will not change ever. 1344, 1345, by a few seconds. The 11th, 1340. The 7th, 1334. And the 5th, 1331. As you can see, just by seconds, it might change just by seconds, but it doesn't go very far. It will never go more than never change it. Right there is 1345, but it's 19 seconds over. And this is the year 2500. It does it 2400, 2300, 2200. This is 80 years from now, 1344. The 11th, 1340. So you could assign every single day with a timestamp and know exactly what day it is. If you wanted to tell me we're going to go somewhere on 1350 in 2200, I would know. You don't even have to tell, well, I mean, we'd know the year of when we're going, but if you want to say we're going at 1350, I would know you were talking about May 18th. Another high watch date, 1350, May 18th. It would never change. It would always be right there. 2023, the day I think Jesus went to the cross. I think Jesus went to the cross on 3:30 at 3 p.m. I believe this is when Jesus went to the cross. Remember, he took on man. He took on flesh. He left his rightful place and took on flesh. But he is also 100% God. I wouldn't say he's half man because it was 100% man. But 3:30:33 went to the cross on March, the third month, on the 30th day in 30 AD. At 3 p.m. he gave up the ghost. This is the timestamp for March the 30th, 1226. Here's the timestamp for March the 30th in 2600, 600 years from now, 1226. Here's the time size. This is as far as I can go back. Remember, they do something weird with the calendars. The Catholic Church did something weird with the calendars. They moved it 10 days, so you won't be able to go back much further than this because it would show a whole 10 days off at that point. It doesn't line up, but that's not because it's not lined up with God. It's because it doesn't line up with the way they moved the time, so it would be hard to figure out. But here we are, 1800, as far back as I could go, 200 years. And it's still 1226. I wanted to point this out again. I don't know if I'm reading into this too far, but it says it right here, and we'll study this and try to figure this out, I suppose. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven." There's some lights being created, right? And they're to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs. Whatever this is that he's created, these lights, whatever they are, they are for signs, they are for seasons, and they are for days, and they are for years. That's what those lights are, whatever they are. Let's keep reading. And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. Whatever it was he created at that moment, it was done. It was so. It's finished. And whatever he created at that moment was for seasons and for days and for years and for signs, whatever it was. Now let's continue on the fourth day of this creation where God actually creates time. He's created something. We don't know quite yet what it is, but it's lights, lots of them. It says lights. It doesn't say light, it says lights, lots of lights. Now let's see what he creates after he said it was so. And whatever it was he created was created for seasons, days, years, and signs. Now he's going to continue. And he's adding on to that. He's doing this on the fourth day. Whatever that was is done, but he's going to continue. And God made two great lights. Wait a second. He made these two great lights after he made these other lights, right? Two great lights. The greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. Well, that sounds like the sun and the moon. He did that after he created these other lights, which gives us signs, seasons, days, and years. And God set them in the firmament. He is creating time now. Once they're set in place, so he's built a clock, and he's put around this clock Roman numerals, 12 of them, around this clock. Now that he's created the clock and he's created the Roman numerals, 12 of them around the clock, he is now creating the sun and the moon. And they will go onto this clock. And God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth and to rule over the day and over the night and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw it, and it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. This is the moment where God created time. This is where everything began. But whatever it was that he created previous to the sun and the moon and the other stars, he created it for signs, seasons, days, and years. And I'm saying, I believe what he created here were all of the constellations, 12 of them specifically to give us time. And the other I think they say there's 48 named constellations out there. I'm not sure, but 12 of them run along the time. So that's what the 12 constellations are there for. There are 12 of them. And just like there are 12 hours on our clock, 12 numbers on our clock, and it tells time. And our clock also is a mirror. It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 1 o'clock in the morning. We just know it based on what we see outside as to what time it is. Our clocks show 12 hours. It is a mirror clock because it is divided. I wanted to show you something here that happens on May 7th. Jupiter is breaking the band of Pisces. Little known fact, Saturn is breaking the band of, or the hip of, Aquarius on the same exact date at the same exact time. Judgment will be poured out here. Judgment will be poured out. As soon as he gets across that band, he falls under judgment. I believe this is where he might be cast out of heaven. Could the rapture take 2 days from May 5th until May 7th? I don't know exactly. I wish I knew. I'd tell you. Yeah, that keeps happening. This is the Matthew 24:36. I saw this. I thought it was funny, so I took a screenshot of it. Matthew 24:36. Do you see this? I got this off of I don't remember which side it was. I think it was suspicious observers. You see that down in the bottom right corner? Looks just like a fish. I zoomed in. That appeared on our sun the other day. We look at the clouds, we look at everything else. Look at the sun. It's giving us that information right there. So, just a quick video to bring you up to date on some watch times. Tomorrow, May 5th, is incredible. When did the ark begin to rise? We got May 7th, we got May 11th, we got May 18th, we've got, what was it, I forget, let's see, May 18th will be the day Jesus ascended. May 21st will be Shavuot, which is a Pentecost of sorts. And then, I mean, this is the most high watch time of the year. Get very active around this time of the year, the head of the year. And then once again, after September the 7th, is it 15th? September the 15th, it gets very active again. So we have in between moments of silence, not silence so much. We're still watching, of course, trying to guess perhaps when this is going to happen or when that's going to happen. So just keep watching. Don't give up. Don't give up on those people you're talking to. You're not to be stressed out over it whatsoever. Keep warning them. Maybe they heard you and they went to a quiet place by themselves and they cast everything off and accepted the Lord into their heart. It's a private moment. And people are still questioning me about that. Go read Matthew 6, 5, and 6. This moment is private. It is not something that you do amongst a bunch of people. But once it's done, and I'm not saying that you don't need to tell anybody, you don't need to tell anybody that you're about to go do it. I'm going to go right now and go in there and kneel down and accept the Lord, and then He has to save me. That's not how it works. You go in there with a broken and contrite heart and accept the Lord, and you go because He's moving you to do it. John 6:44. Nobody comes to the Father unless the Father draw him. You're being drawn, and that's why you do it. And then after that, go tell the world. I do. Every Christian does. Just like the blind man that Jesus, put dirt on. He washed his eyes. I said, "Don't tell anybody." I think it was the blind man. I always get that wrong. But what did he do? He ran and told everybody, just like you would if you feel that change. So keep watching. In a moment's time, we're all going to be leaned back, lounging in a chair, in a recliner, in our 20-year-old bodies, and laughing and having a good time. And Jesus is going to come and say, "Hey, John, how you been? Melissa, Mary, whatever your name is, put your name in that spot. Hey, blank, how you doing? Man, I've been waiting for a long time for you. Yes, a long time. And I'm just here to take your order. Almighty God is going to take your order. The guy who came here and died for us is not done yet. He's going to take your order. And you're going to tell him what you want to eat. And it's going to be incredible. He's going to show you your mansion. He's going to give you a robe, white, so bright, just so perfect and white in every way. He's going to give you a rod of iron to rule the nations with him. He's going to give you a crown with a lot of, they say crowns, but I think it's more like rubies and diamonds and everything in the crown. He's going to give you that, and you're just going to be reclined. It's going to be a relaxing environment. It's not going to be like, he's going to be your best friend. He's going to be your best friend. He's going to serve you, And then, like I said, I'll get the steak. It'll be perfect in every way. It'll be warm or nice and almost too hot. That's how I like my steak. Almost too hot. From the very first bite to the very last bite, it won't get cool on me. It won't cool down. I won't have to hurry up and eat it. It'll always stay hot through the entire meal. It's going to be, like I said, when you read a passage like that and your mind just starts running with possibilities, let it. Just let it. There's nothing wrong with dreaming. There's nothing. He gave us a very wandering mind, right? And it's you apply it in the right way. It's incredible where you can go in your mind when you see heaven. Just see it. Just imagine it, and know that the most spectacular imaginative thing. That's what the movies are all about. Where do you think they got every single movie from? Every single movie came out of the Bible. We even our greatest imaginations of what the Bible shows, it doesn't even Superman. I mean, that's you. When you get there, you'll be 20. You'll be in perfect shape. You'll be stronger than anything else. You can't be killed. You can imagine yourself somewhere else. You can, fly faster than a speeding bullet. You'll be in charge of the elements. You jump over a building with a leap. What does it say? I don't remember. So, you know, just just know that you can dream. Don't be afraid of it. It's okay. It's going to happen, and it is going to be something else. It is going to be something else. So uh, we'll see you on the other side. Maybe tomorrow. I hope it's tomorrow. But if it's not, we're going to keep watching. We're going to keep trying to figure it out. At the end of the day, like I said, Amos 3:7, God promised. He promised He would tell us. I'm not going to tell you. Dr. Barry's not going to tell you. Steve Fletcher's not going to tell you. Um, uh, Aaron over at God Up In It's not going to tell all the big Wayne over at We Are the Overcomers. I could go on for hours. Patrick over at Hourly Watch. I could go on for hours of all these people, that wonderful people that are trying to figure this out. Ecro Symphony, looking up on Facebook. There's so many people, so many wonderful people out there trying, and I'm gonna miss a million of you because you're all worth mentioning. But we're gonna wind up on the other side, and it's gonna say, "Well done. You did what I asked you to do. You warned people. Didn't tell you to change them. Didn't tell you to beat them over the head with it. I just told you to put that seed in their mind, and when it happens, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, wait a second. I've heard about this. I've heard about this. There's this crazy guy telling me about this." And that the next step is that there's this mark coming out that I need to avoid. And that's what we need to warn people about. So, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Like the video, not because I want a bunch of pats on the back. I don't want that. What I want is the algorithm to get out there. Every single time you guys go and like the video, I have 10,000 views, 6,000 views in a video, and 300 likes. The video gets out there, the algorithm gets out there, and this is important for me and why I do this. The brides, you're saved. You're done. You're saved. You've been saved. But the saints that are left here, it concerns me. They need this information after the fact. So please like the video so that the algorithm puts it into their feed. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember who it is now. Well, one of these other videos some guy did, he's got like 100 subscribers, but he had 10,000. Who was that? Forget who it was, but he had like 10,000 views because of the way he named it. I guess the way he named the video, he got a bunch of views, and he got a bunch of likes, and he had a bunch of views on this video, and so his video wound up in my feed, and I watched it. And I was like, wow, that's great. I wish I would have taken a picture of that and gave him a shout out today, but I didn't think about that. So maybe on the next video, maybe I won't have to make another one. Maybe we're out of here. All right, Repo Man 64. We'll chat with you maybe in heaven.